Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios. It's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. We're glad you are with us today. For the last 30 years, from the time I turned on this microphone until now, we have had one goal, and that is to help you have a better life. You do that with knowledge. Knowledge is power. You do that when you transform your life, your actions, your habits, your behaviors as a part of that power. That power gives you the ability to transform your life. And God working with you, blessing you, does that. It's absolutely amazing. And so one of the things that keeps people from winning in an area of their life, like money, is bad products. Financial things that we do that fall under the heading of stupid, that are set up to benefit the company selling them and rip you off. We talk about them all the time. We tell you not to buy whole life insurance. We tell you not to lease a car. We tell you not to use credit cards. For God's sake, stay off the payday lender lot. And you don't go in there and pay 800% interest. Don't buy a stupid timeshare. We tell you these kinds of things all the time. There are a few of these spaces where we tell you the product is not only bad, but the vast majority of the people in the industry are bad. These are bad people selling bad products in bad ways. And that makes it like a triple lose. You got to stay away from this. The large majority of the payday lenders fall in that category. Large majority of credit card collectors fall in that category. And the large majority of timeshares fall in that category. Bad people selling a bad product in a scummy, scuzzy, illegal, lying, fraudulent manner on a regular basis as standard practice of business. We run into it all the time. We run into the horror stories. We get to hear from you, how you got screwed. Now, granted, you walked in there, you got the free vacation, in quotes, which turns out to be a high-pressure sales event that's 2.5 hours long, and it was promised to be 30 minutes, and there is no vacation. You spend all your time down trying to get this person off of you that is lying, cheating, stealing, conniving, anything they can do to get you to leave, buy one of their stupid butt timeshares before you go, and every word out of their mouth is a lie. They're scum. It's unbelievable. I can't, of all the industries. Now, I've had a few car dealers tell people Dave Ramsey leased a car, which is obviously a lie. I've had a few people say Dave Ramsey has a credit card, which is obviously a lie. But I hear every week that some timeshare salesman is telling somebody that Dave Ramsey has a timeshare. I've never had a timeshare. I have done almost every stupid, horrible thing you can do with money, but timeshare is not on the list. Let me just tell you. There is not a condition. The only people selling timeshares are the super high-end ones that you might want to think about doing, but even then, I'm not going to recommend them. For instance, Disney. The Disney timeshares are a whole different class of timeshare. But most of these things are just bottom feeder. Ugh, you would not let any of these employees, you would not let the owners of these companies in your home, and yet you buy a week of vacation from them. And it is awful. If you have had we're going to devote this hour to starting the process of uncovering all of the misbehavior in the timeshare industry. It is unbelievable when you get down in it, how filthy it is, how filthy these people are. It's unbelievable. If you have been lied to, scammed, misled, been pressured, been beat up, whatever, by the timeshare, call me. I want to talk to you this hour. I want to hear real stories from real people. I got plenty of them, but if you want to call right now, the phone number is 888-825-5225. Three of the biggest misbehaviors, three of the biggest scumburgers in the market are Diamond Resorts International. They're the king of bad. Westgate and Berkeley Group, which goes under Vacation Village Resorts. Now, just go and Google. It takes 10 minutes. Just Google Diamond Resorts International or Westgate or Berkeley Group, and you will see what I'm talking about. Google Wyndham. You'll see what I'm talking about. You just ask TripAdvisor. You look at Yelp. You look at the Better Business Bureau. You just find not one or two complaints, pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of misbehavior by these people. Absolutely unbelievable. They don't transfer the date. They don't let you use the other property like they said. They don't give you the tickets they said. They try to throw you out after they promise you a free vacation like they said. You know, it's unbelievable. And they get sued all the time. Westgate loses a suit for high-pressure tactics in Tennessee. Here's an article. Timeshare buyers Nathan and Patricia Overton alleged that they were promised many things when buying a timeshare unit in Gatlinburg that later proved to be untrue. When you're promised something in business that proves to be untrue, by the way, that's called fraud. For example, they alleged they were promised a specific room during the Christmas season, but were later told it wasn't possible. Rooms were only assigned a few days before the visit. Westgate lost an appeal of the case, drawing critical opinion from the appellate judge, who wore him out. The judge said Westgate engaged in intentional and fraudulent conduct and willfully violated both the Tennessee Timeshare Act and the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act. He wrote in his opinion. And this article goes on and on and on and on and on. Westgate says this is an isolated incident. If it was an isolated incident, there wouldn't be pages and pages and pages and pages of people saying the same things about Westgate, about Diamond Resorts International, and about Berkeley Group all the time, over and over and over and over. And they're unbelievable. Here's some of the postings. This is about Diamond Resorts International. Lisa says they are terrible. The last 5 years, it's become horrible. Increased HOA prices through the roof. I've been trying for 6 months to get a reservation. I have annual points. It's become sickening. They're out of control. Owners must pay or we get foreclosed on our credit, yet our resort time is never available. This is fraud. I'm looking to get out of this thing. I think I need an attorney or a class action lawsuit. Cliff says, to put it bluntly, Diamond Resort International salespeople are scum of the earth and will tell you anything to get you to buy. Then every time you visit a resort, they want you to suffer through another arm-twisting, confusing sales presentation, and you'll learn everything they told you the last time was BS, and they proceed to feed you new lies. I'd advise staying well clear of them. Hang around here and find out about buying good properties at resale rather than retail. This goes on and on and on. I can read these for days, but I'm going to talk to you, too, about experiences you've had with the timeshare process. The filthy, dirty apartment that you're supposed to be getting to rent. The room, how bad a shape it's in. The way the people lie. They lie. Did I mention they lied? JP Morgan Chase. Citigroup. Wells Fargo. Double. Together made more than $4 billion in pre-tax income from their credit card business between July and September. Did you hear that? Those four banks from July to September made $4 billion off of your stupidity, America. Did you hear it? The article says the amount of debt owed by American consumers, which receded in the wake of the financial crisis, is again on the rise. Outstanding credit card debt, the total balances that customers roll from month to month, hit a record $1 trillion this year, according to the Federal Reserve. The number of Americans with at least one credit card has reached 171 million, the highest level in more than a decade, according to TransUnion, a credit reporting company. That is occurring at an opportune moment for the banking industry, which is suddenly struggling to earn as much money from traditional profit engines. Oh, the poor banks, they're barely making it. I'm so glad that you're helping them out. Oh, in the years since the financial crisis, the largest United States financial institutions churned out profits largely thanks to a booming business in trading and structuring bonds and other securities. Now, though, those businesses are flagging, in part because financial markets have been eerily calm. So banks are turning to more lending to consumers, especially through credit cards, to pick up some of the slack. Banks earn more money from credit cards. Our banks earn money from credit cards in two ways. They take a small cut of each card transaction as a fee, which they also do with debit cards, by the way. And they typically charge annual interest rates of 15% or more on balances that customers don't pay off at the end of the month. That business model is increasingly lucrative. Well, no duh. Many consumers, their wages stagnant and their costs rising, are growing reliant on credit cards. Oh, bullcrap. Consumers are buying crap they can't afford with money they don't have to impress people they don't really like, and they're putting it on stupid plastic shoveled down their throats by Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo. That's what's really happening. Don't blame the poor little consumer. Their wages are stagnant, and the poor little consumer has to go into debt. Oh, you whiners. It's not anything to do with the poor little consumer. It's just stupidity. It's just stupid. Across the industry, profits rose in the latest quarter. Spending on plastic is part of the broader debt bonanza. In May, total household debt levels hit a post-recession peak of $12.7 trillion. But what's good for banks and their shareholders isn't necessarily good for bank customers. Well, duh. Listen to this crap. These cards are a social safety net, says Charles Giaquinta, a bankruptcy lawyer in Manhattan. Because bankruptcy lawyers in Manhattan, they know about social safety nets. Because they live in Manhattan. Give me a break. Seriously, Charles. He said he's seen thousands of clients made insolvent by a single unexpected cost. No, Charles. They were made insolvent by the fact they never saved any money. And they've always spent everything they made. And then when they had a single unexpected cost, they weren't ready. That's why they were insolvent, Charles. For borrowers with shaky credit, interest rates can be near 36%. Some borrowers end up owing more in interest than they originally spent on their cards. Shocking, really? The cost of borrowing is creeping upward. The average interest rate on a new credit card currently hovers at 16.15%, the highest level in at least a decade. For banks, this is especially welcome because relatively few borrowers appear to be at risk of default, and that means the banks are pocketing big fees and interest payments with minimal costs. So let's get this straight, okay? Default rates are lower than they have been. The cost of capital, what banks pay for money, the Fed funds rate, is almost zero. They're almost paying nothing for their money. And then they're loaning it back out to you at an average of 16.16. But if you have a little bit of darkness on your credit, it could be up there around 36% for you because you're special. Yes, you are. We want to take good care of you. Yes! Seriously. When are you going to wake up? $1 trillion in plastic. When are you going to wake up? When are you going to look at them and say, you know what? The credit card is the cigarette of the financial world. See, when I was a kid, everybody smoked. My parents smoked like chimneys, man, when I was a kid. We had nicotine running down the walls in the house. Everybody smoked. Everybody smoked on TV. Everybody smoked cigarettes. Now, if you smoke cigarettes, you're like low class or something, right? You know, I remember you could smoke on airplanes. And I remember you could smoke in restaurants. And then there was a no smoking section in an airplane. Now, that makes a lot of sense, right? It's a tube. Like the smoke is going to stay in one end of the tube. Give me a break here. Or the non-smoking section in the restaurant. You remember that? Now everybody's huddled outside the door because you can't even smoke in the building. They're all huddled outside smoking cigarettes. You know, they're all standing around freezing to death. You ever seen them standing in the rain because they got such a nicotine habit? They're stuck in the rain smoking. It's like we pity people that smoke now. I mean, you just didn't get the memo. This stuff kills you, and your breath stinks too. I mean, you didn't get the memo. Nobody told you. This is low-class behavior, and it kills your butt. I mean, have you not? Since I was a kid, it went from being cool to being not cool to smoke cigarettes because people realize it kills you, and it stinks, and they quit. I'm not mad at you personally if you smoke. I'm just talking about society has made a swing in the way they view smokers. Would you agree with that? Even if you're a smoker, you'd have to nod your head and say yes. Why? Why has society shifted on smoking? Because it kills you. And it stinks. The credit card is the cigarette of the financial world. It was cool, man. I mean, you remember when you were in college and they gave you a credit card? Yeah, man, sign up. We'll give you a free hat. We'll give you a T-shirt. We'll give you a pizza, man. And so begins the addiction. It was cool to get credit. I mean, I got a gold card. Look at me, man. I'm gold, baby. I'm solid gold. You remember? And now we all kind of grin and look at this absurdity of that, don't we? We just look at that and go, that's stupid. That's just dumb. Now, the credit card will kill you. Not physically, but financially. It'll kill you. You just don't meet rich people with a credit card debt. Hello. Well, I wouldn't have credit card debt either if I was rich people. No, dummy, you'd be rich people if you didn't have credit card debt. You got it backwards. I mean, you just don't get rich paying people 16%, but by God, they're getting rich. Have you looked at the size of their buildings and the quality of their furniture? It beats your double wide. So you got to stop and think, folks. When people like Wells Fargo own the world because you gave them the deed, it's your fault. Get that stupid plastic out. It's time for plastic surgery, baby. It's time for a plastectomy. Get you a debit card and get out of the credit card business. It's the cigarette of the financial world. It'll kill you. And it stinks, and it's no longer cool. Used to be cool. It's not cool anymore. We declared that about a decade ago, and people are catching on. This is the day I like to call I Told You So. So, do you guys remember when the stock market dove down and I told you that it would come back? And it was dropping, and everybody's, don't cash out your 401k. You remember me being on the air. Some of you have been listening for years. And the market's dropping. It's dropping from 14,000. It goes all the way down to 6,400 or whatever it went down to in March of that year. At the bottom, the world's coming to an end. And I keep telling you, you remember me using the line, you don't get hurt on a roller coaster if you don't jump off. That, you know, when you're investing in your 401k, you don't cash out your 401k. 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 And then the market came from 6,000. Now it's at 18,000. And so the money that you would have cashed out at the bottom is now worth 3 times as much. If you had 100,000 at the bottom, you've got 300,000, and that's if you put nothing more in it. Now that's an I told you so. But there's a better one. During that same period of time, people are screaming at me. I'm getting entire blogs and YouTube goobers and all these people posting, Dave Ramsey's an idiot. Do not listen to Dave Ramsey. He knows nothing about what he's talking about because he's telling you to not invest in gold. You've heard me say on this show over and over and over, don't put money in gold. Gold sucks as an investment. It's a horrible rate of return over its historical track record. And as soon as the economy begins to heal just a little bit, gold prices will dive. I've said it over and over and over and over on this show. And you conspiracy theory people with water bottles and generators in your basement and all that crap are screaming at me because I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know anything about the world is actually coming to an end and you don't know anything. By the way, gold is down 40% since August of 2011. It peaks out right up around $2,000 an ounce. You know what it's selling for today? Just over $1,000 an ounce. So you gold bugs, you put $100,000 in that, you know what it's worth? 50. This is a segment of the show I like to call I Told You So. I told you not to put money in gold. But Dave, you don't understand. It's a hedge against inflation. Where's your hedge? Is that how you hedge against inflation? Lose half your freaking money? You're a genius. So I got to get this out of my system every so often because I get we can bail my hate mail here, and half of it is from freaks that are buying gold, that are going crazy on day, they were, flying saucers brought them here. You wouldn't believe the crap that comes in the mail. Zulu, the god of whatever, told them to buy it. I mean, it's just like the Mayans. The craziest of the crazy is out there. And man, it's bizarre. So, and there are some people that were fairly semi-intelligent that think that the world's coming to an end, and they've just figured it all out, which means they're intelligent, but they're not wise. And so they went and bought gold. Because, Dave, when the economy, what are we going to do when the economy crashes? The gold standard, we're off the gold standard now. We're on that fiat money. Don't buy gold. Don't buy gold. Don't buy silver. Don't buy lead. Don't buy precious metals. Don't buy diamonds as an investment. Don't buy precious metals, commodities as an investment, period. Gems. Don't do it. Now, if you're a diamond broker, you can make money doing diamonds, okay? I get that. But you're playing around with commodities and thinking you're going to call yourself an investor because you read some stupid butt book by some sideways character who's predicting the end of the world, you're going to lose your tail end, and now you have. And let me tell you the difference in this. And well, the stock market went down, Dave, but it came back. Why can't gold come back? It's not going to come back. It was artificially high, and it was based on one thing, fear. And when the only way your rate of return on an investment comes is based on emotion, then it's never going to be a stable investment. When you invest in mutual funds, it's not based on emotion. It's based on the rate of return, the actual dollars created by the companies that the stocks are owned by the mutual fund company. It's like when you're buying a piece of real estate as an investment. You can look at the piece of real estate, and it creates a rent roll. The rent roll creates an NOI, a net operating income on that piece of real estate, and you can capitalize that NOI and give the piece of real estate a value based on the income it is generating. Gold does not generate an income. The only reason gold goes up is when people are afraid, and gold goes down when they're not as afraid. Guess what? They're not as afraid right now. It dropped in half, basically. So I've been telling you over and over and over and over and over and over and over. For what, Blake? My God, Blake's sitting in there today because James Child's out on vacation. It's been a decade we've been doing this. I've been doing the show 25 years, but for a decade we've been hearing from these gold bugs and putting up with their crap and their hate mail and their Twitter nonsense. Blocked, and have to block them off of Facebook because they get on there screwing up our Facebook page where we're trying to help people because they're freaking nuts. And now it's in half. So this is a segment of the show I like to call I Told You So. Shut up. There you go. All right. I had to get that out of my system. I just looked up and saw an article come across as I was on the break, and it got me started because I hadn't noticed that gold had tanked as far as I had predicted it would tank. Now, I didn't know when it was going to tank. I just know the basic philosophies of investing and what creates investment rates of return, and gold doesn't fit that model. It's the same reason you don't buy an Apple Watch, okay? It's going to be worthless in a few years. Would you buy a $10,000 Apple Watch, and what do you do when they come out with the new one? I know that they're not, but they have the gold version or whatever, that's $10,000. I saw it the other day. Somebody was showing me the website. You buy a $10,000 piece of technology, bling technology, you might as well just throw the stinking thing out the window because they're going to come out with version whatever next week. They do that all the time. So you're going to buy the Apple Watch, buy the cheap one because they're going to come out with version whatever. Apparently the cheap one's pretty cool, though. So, but buy the cheap one because it's a throwaway, baby, just like your cell phone is. So think, people. Think. And if you think, it'll lead you to where you have money. It's just the strangest thing.